Out here, the road doesn't just take you somewhere, it peels time back and ahead. Randsburg waits like a memory that never fully disappeared, even now. A name on a sign can be a promise or a warning. Here, it's an invitation to a place that got smaller, but refused to become silent. Just listen. These fronts were built to look confident, like the future was guaranteed. Now they stand as proof. The frontier feeling can outlive the boom, for decades. In Randsburg, dust isn't dirt, it's history in motion. It settles, lifts, and settles again. Like the town itself, always still alive, all day. A ghost town doesn't open its doors. This one does just enough to remind you there's still routine behind the weathered wood, right here. Look close, and you can feel the hands that built this straight lines, stubborn choices, and a quiet pride that never asked to be photographed, still proud. Some towns race the clock. This one steps aside and lets it pass. You don't just visit Randsburg, you slow down to its pace, on purpose. The glass is old, but the light is always new. That's the trick of a living relic. Yesterday's frame, today's sun, every morning. People came here chasing gold like it was a doorway. Most never found the life they imagined, yet the ground still remembers every step beneath us. There's a difference between abandoned and survived. This place doesn't perform history. It lives inside it, quietly, one day at a time, still standing. Frontier towns were built from small motions, pulling, lifting, fixing, repeating. Even now, the tools feel like they're waiting for hands, still patiently. In a boomtown, noise is a currency. In Randsburg, quiet is what's left thick, patient, and strangely comforting at last. You can tell how a place breathes by the way people walk through it. Here, even the footprints seem unhurried. This way. The words may fade first, but the message stays. This was a place that mattered. And for a few people, it still does, even here. At noon, the shadows draw their own fence lines. It's the same light the miners stood in, only now it falls on fewer faces, today still. A town isn't dead if mail still arrives. Small proof? Maybe, but enough to say, someone is here, continuing the story, right now. Up on the hills, you can feel what brought people here: hope, hunger, and the promise of gold. The rush is gone, but the memory stays parked in the dirt, for good. Every small town has a place where time speaks softly. Here, the past isn't a rumor, it has weight, names, and a kind of desert peace, so gently. This is what keeps a living relic alive: small rituals. A warm cup, a familiar counter, and a day that doesn't need to be loud to be real, in daylight. At sunset, the town turns gold again, not the kind you mine, but the kind you feel. For a moment, the old dream looks almost possible, for real. Big cities use neon to shout. Out here, light is quieter, just a small signal that the town still has a heartbeat after dark, after sundown. Some buildings don't just stand, they witness. This hotel has seen rushes, recessions, reunions, and the long, quiet art of staying through years. The air in old rooms feels different, like it learned to be patient. You don't just sleep here. You borrow a piece of someone else's time, for a while. At night, the town becomes a shadow, and the sky becomes the ceiling. Out here, you can see how small you are, and feel strangely okay with it, out there. Morning doesn't ask what happened here. It just arrives softly, faithfully, like the town itself, still showing up for another day, again tomorrow. In places like this, a store isn't just commerce, it's a map of the town. What's on the shelves tells you what people still need, everywhere inside. A bell like this is small, but it's social. It announces a visitor, a neighbor, a story walking in proof that the town still recognizes people by name. People think postcards are nostalgia, but here, they're current tense little squares that say, "This place is real. I'm standing in it. No kidding." The desert writes music with whatever it can find: tin, wood, wire. In Randsburg, even the buildings keep time like instruments, all together. A chair like this isn't decoration. It's a lookout post for slow days, proof that someone once sat here and watched the world pass by gently, so softly. Gold brought people in, but water is what keeps anyone here. Out in the Mojave, a single drop can feel like a promise. Out here, some paths were built for arrival, then forgot what it felt like. But even without a train, the line still points forward, without asking. A living town fixes things. It patches, adjusts, improvises. In Randsburg, survival looks like a workshop that never fully closes. Each season, time leaves fingerprints. Not in ink on wood, on edges, on places people touched without thinking. The grain becomes a record, for sure. It's not about politics out here. It's about presence, something still moving, still marking a place as lived in, at once. Randsburg feels like a photograph you can walk into, edges worn, colors faded, but the scene still breathing when you stand inside it, in color. One small sound can change everything. A bark, a door, a voice in the distance. Tiny proof that this isn't a set. It's a day in progress, in motion. This pump has seen every kind of traveler, miners, drifters, families, chasing a horizon. The routes changed, but the stop stayed, every time. The wind does the talking, now moving dust like sentences across the street. It tells the same story over and over. Stay, leave, return, all day. Every town has a corner where the story turns. In Randsburg, it turns softly, like the past stepping aside to make room for whoever comes next, very slowly. These windows have held a century of summers. They don't just frame a view, they trap heat, memories, and the feeling of a slower world so long. Boomtowns were built on luck. Now it's simpler. Just a few coins, a small counter, and the steady business of keeping the lights on every month. Maps don't just show places, they show intentions. The worn edges mean the same question kept returning. What's out there? And is it worth it? Again, somehow. That screen door sound is a small town heartbeat. It's the noise of someone coming in, going out, and choosing to stay nearby, so close. In a city, an intersection is urgency. Here, it's permission. Permission to pause, to look around, to let the day unfold without hurry, at ease. Big museums put the past behind velvet ropes. Randsburg sets it right in the window, everyday artifacts, still doing their quiet job, on display. Listen closely, and the wires sing. Not music for crowds, just a thin, steady note that says the town is still connected to the world, at night. The frontier loved legends, heroes, villains, wanted names. Now only shadows remain, and the real story is simpler. Ordinary people, trying to last, for longer. A bar stool is made for stories. Even empty, it holds the shape of talk, laughter, arguments, and long pauses that didn't need an ending for someone. Keys mean belonging. They mean a place you can return to, even when the world forgets the address, once more. Sometimes, the light stays on, even when the sun is strong. It's a small habit, like leaving a welcome sign for whoever shows up late, somehow anyway. The desert is patient. It doesn't attack, it absorbs. It takes the edges first, then waits. But Randsburg keeps drawing its line again, each time. Even worn-out warnings carry energy. They're reminders that people once worried about something here, enough to put it in metal, still sharp. Places like this taught more than reading. They taught endurance, how to make a life out of dry air, hard work, and community that fit on one street, back then. Some prayers don't need a bell to be heard. In small towns, faith can look like a door that stays unlocked, and a room that stays ready, for anyone. A fence is supposed to divide. Out here, it mostly marks intention. Someone once said, "This matters." Then the desert answered, "So does everything." Right there, from far away, it looks like nowhere. But once you've been here, the road feels different, like it's leading back to something you didn't know you missed, at all. Survival out here isn't dramatic, it's practical. A fan, a shade, a glass of water, small inventions that turn heat into something livable every summer. History isn't only headlines. Sometimes it's receipts, tiny proofs that someone bought supplies, paid a bill, and kept the day moving forward, all week. Randsburg doesn't need a skyline. Its horizon is enough wide, honest, and unchanged. Like a promise the desert never takes back. Forever, really. In a town like this, the museum isn't separate from life. The past sits right beside the present, close enough to touch, right here. A pickaxe doesn't look heroic when it's resting. It looks tired. And that's the truth of the gold era, more sweat than legend, all along. Boots by the door are the simplest evidence. Someone is inside. Someone still has chores. Someone still calls this place home, every evening. Out here, entertainment is simple. A book, a view, a little shade. The desert teaches you to find richness in less, every day. The day here can feel harsh, like the sun is testing you. But the night answers softly, cooling everything down like a quiet apology, all over. This isn't a museum prop, it's transportation. In a small town, a bike can feel like freedom, even when the world around you is mostly sand to breathe. In a city, cars are everywhere. Here, one vehicle can be a whole chapter. Someone's errands, someone's work, someone's way back home, for miles. The desert isn't trying to erase this town. It's just being itself, wide, quiet, honest. Randsburg learned to exist inside that truth so well. Old photos don't just show faces, they show confidence. People who believe the town would keep growing. The frame still holds that belief, even still. A radio at low volume is a companion. It fills the quiet without breaking it, like Randsburg itself. Present but never loud, for company. Handwritten notes are small-town internet. They say what's needed, what's offered, what's happening, community reduced to paper and trust, every day. In an empty hall, your footsteps sound like a conversation. The building answers back creak for creak, like it's glad someone noticed, so quietly. This view is the town's original backdrop. Wide desert, far mountains, endless sky. It's what people came to challenge, and what they learned to respect, every day. A lantern is supposed to belong to the past. But out here, old tools don't retire, they adapt. History stays useful, for a while. The best proof a town is alive isn't a building, it's a greeting. A familiar smile you can hear in the voice, even if you never see it right away. Every purchase is a tiny vote for the town's future. Not dramatic, just practical support. Stapled to the day like a quiet promise, every time. Sometimes the storm doesn't arrive, it just passes overhead. Out here, you learn the difference between danger and drama, and you keep living anyway, to survive. Even decoration out here was an act of hope. Someone took time to paint a line, make it neat, make it proud like the town would last forever, so carefully. A small crowd feels bigger in a small town. A few voices, a few laughs, and suddenly, the street remembers what it was built for, in place. Randsburg didn't vanish, it just got quieter. And that's why it matters, because some places don't die. They simply learn to endure, all along. One light in one window can outshine a whole skyline. It says, someone is here, the kettle is on, the day is being lived, this evening. When the street goes quiet, the sky takes over. Randsburg falls asleep under a universe that never learned to whisper, for once. There's a second out here when everything holds its breath. Then the wind returns, and the town keeps listening, for real. This isn't a ghost town. It's a living fragment, smaller, quieter, but still present. A frontier echo that never fully let go, still lingering. In places like this, dust becomes visible, tiny particles turning light into something you can almost touch. Time, suspended in the air, right there. A key turning is a simple sound, but it means someone chose to stay. Presence, routine, and a reason to keep the door from becoming a relic, every day. Randsburg runs on desert time, slower, wider, calmer. You don't rush it, you match it. And suddenly you can hear yourself think, at last. Randsburg is more than a location. It becomes a feeling. Quiet space, sun-worn beauty, and the rare comfort of a place that never fully died, still here. When you leave, you don't feel like you're escaping a ruin. You feel like you're stepping away from a small, stubborn light still burning in the desert, in silence. Randsburg isn't a ghost town. It's a living fragment of the frontier. Smaller, quieter, but real. And once you've seen it, you carry it with you, for years.